Hi, everyone. Welcome to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk for episode 2. Today, we're going to get into some very, very fun topics today, and I have my amazing guests with me, so let's get started. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. And the first topic of the night, who do I want to start with? Let's start with Leon. Leon, how are we doing today?
I am great. Thanks for having me as a guest on your show. I'm just happy to be here. What's that first topic you want me to start with? Tell me, what do you
Let's
want me to talk
go.
about?
All right, the first topic of the night. What do you think about Julio Jones going to the Titans? What are you thinking?
Here's the thing. First, from a business perspective, it was great for the Falcons. They get rid of that $15 million cap hit and they get some draft picks because he wasn't going to re-sign with them, right? So that works well for them. As far as the Titans go, I have two questions now. This is the first time that Tannehill's had a really, really upper echelon receiver to throw to. Will he be able to utilize him properly? But secondly, something that most folks don't see on television, and that is there's this guy named Derrick Henry that's a beast in the backfield. Wide receivers do a lot of downfield blocking. Will Julio Jones do that? Those are my questions about this deal.
Okay. Frank, what do you think about that? About blocking, Julio's blocking ability?
Listen, where did he leave? Atlanta. What happened? They lost in the Super Bowl. So where is he trying to get back to? The Super Bowl. I got a feeling he'll do anything and everything possible to get himself in that position. He's already heard enough folks talk and discount him as a player that he's over the hill and beyond his prime. And, he's ready to run with it. And I think he can't be in a better situation. He's got, as Leon pointed out, he's got Derrick Henry. And anybody who's tried to tackle him will probably tell you he's no easy task. So I can see where the defense is going to focus on him. There's going to be some mistakes. He's not slow, so he's going to blow the top off the defense and catch some long balls down over the top, as well as block when he needs to. So I like what Tennessee did there.
Yeah, I agree. I think for Tennessee, I think the biggest question for me, I don't have a question per the offense. I think the offense is going to fly. But it's just a matter of can the defense step up because the past couple of years we've seen Derrick Henry run downhill, and then their defense can't stop anyone. So Jeremiah, what do you think about that? Do you think is it the offense that could put this team over the hump, or can the defense step up and make them a Super Bowl caliber team?
When it comes to it, defense wins championships at the end of the day. To me, their defense needs to improve that it did last year because they hit a roadblock for a reason. Now it's because of their defense. Now you can say with the offense, you have a good player of the Henry, and then you also have Julio, but you also got to be inconsiderate when it comes to his past injuries as well, because he's not going to play each and every game when it comes to the Titans game when they played this season. So it's all about him being available when it comes to those precious times that they need him, and just keeping him healthy and letting him work, in my opinion.
All right, I agree. Now, Leon, do you think that Tannehill could get this team to the Super Bowl and possibly win it?
I think a couple of things are going to have to happen for Tannehill to do that. One, he's going to have to develop a great relationship with Julio Jones.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a big part of Julio Jones buying into what needs to happen to make it to that Super Bowl. I think that's one. The other thing is he has weapons now out of the backfield. He has weapons downfield. When the game gets tight, game gets close, they lose a close one, win a close one, it's going to happen. Everybody's going to start saying, I should have had the ball. I should have had the ball. He's going to have to be the guy that makes the team, that blends them on offense. But like you said, and I think someone else talked about it, that was Jeremiah talked about, defense wins championships. I don't think they're going to have a problem scoring. I think Tannehill's going to be able to bring everybody together and keep all the egos in check, so to speak. But he can't control what happens on the defensive side of the ball.
Agreed.
It's going to be rough.
And Frank, do you think that now that Julio Jones is with this team, can they be a threat to Kansas City?
I think that's a great question. I believe there's a couple of ways to win, and I believe their winning window is going to be getting up early and then relying on Henry to kind of eat the clock away, right, and keep the ball away from Mahomes, right? Now, if they get behind, I don't know that Tannehill and Julio and the rest of the receiving core can get into that track meet and find success. But if the defense is able to get them a turnover early, they're able to capitalize on it and get up 10 or 14 points. And now they're relying on play action pass, where folks have to honor Derrick Henry, and that exposes gaps down in the defense down the field. That's an interesting game, and that makes it a possibility.
I agree with that. Jeremiah, what do you think about that?
When it comes to the Kansas City, you already know they're going to be a dominant team soon as they come back this next season. They just made it recently to the Super Bowl as well, although they had, embarrassing loss, but they're going to be a dominant team coming back as well. Because you already see Mahomes talking about they want to go to an undefeated season. That's what every team says.
Yeah.
But he's confident everything's like that. And when you have a team of a structure like that, you need to be ready for teams like Kansas City. Because for those, you have to be 10 steps ahead when it comes to everything. You cannot mess up on any stretch of occasion, because you need to be ready for those times when it even gets close to the playoffs.
I agree. That was a great conversation about that, guys. Heading into the next topic, we're going to a different sport now, boxing. What do you guys think? And let's start with you, Frank, about the state of boxing. We've seen Floyd Mayweather just have a fight against Logan Paul, the Paul brothers making their rise of fame through boxing. What do you think the state of boxing is right now?
Boxing's years where, Muhammad, Ken Norton, George Foreman, Leon Spinks, we're not there. We're just not there. It's a different day and age. I was talking pre-show, I'm not into boxing today. Like, the only thing I would go to see right now is the Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. I'd go see that.
Oh, yeah.
But beyond that, I don't know what is out there to go see. There's nothing that's box office to me.
Jeremiah, you think there's nothing box office out there? What do you think?
When it comes to this stage of boxing right now, to me, I'm a big fan of when it comes to boxing. The hard hitting, you get ready, and it's not just for show and tell as it is right now. Right now, it's just mostly for just straight entertainment now. Anybody can step up in a boxing ring right now. You have people like a Jake Paul. You have people like a Lamar Odom, and etc. just entering the ring and doing it just
Chad
for making
Ochocinco.
profit. Yeah, Chad Ochocinco, although he has hands in certain things like that. But at the end of the day, I just think that it's just becoming like almost like a money grab fest and everything else. Because even just like a man of Floyd, I really didn't think that he even needed to do that fight in the first place himself. Because it's like, what do you gain and like, what are you even losing from that? Because at the same time, the guy is mostly the winner when it came to the Paul brothers, because they're just profiting off of just having you inside the ring. In my opinion.
Do you think he should have fought? You think Floyd should have fought Logan Paul?
Well, here's the thing. We know he did it for the money, right?
Right.
And so much of boxing and what Floyd Mayweather has done recently has been the money of it. Right now, you could talk about. I'm sure they'll find people that say it was great for the sport and all that, and I'm not buying it. The thing that I think boxing has missed, it's passed boxing by, is the whole the concept of marketing and making it exciting. The UFC has just passed boxing and has made their sport so exciting. They're getting all the coverage. I mean, you can turn on ESPN, every other week or every third week or pay-per-view. They're always talking about some big UFC event. in boxing, we've lost that. I can't think of a network that I can turn to consistently and say tonight it's Saturday night at 10 or Sunday afternoon at 3 or whatever the date and time is that I know I can watch boxing. They just lost it marketing wise. And I don't know how you recover from that other than these special things that they're doing with Floyd Mayweather and others. And then another thing, I look at some folks that are boxing. I see so many folks that are out of shape. I see folks with Leon bodies in the ring, and I'm like, what are you doing? Take a seat. Get out of there, young man. I just don't see them making a comeback. I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. When I think about boxing right now, it's just, I think you have a lot of boxers out there, young boxers that are maybe under the radar, may not be as a caliber for Floyd Mayweather, will never get that chance to make that kind of money or show their talents because of Jake Paul or Logan Paul. YouTubers essentially are able to, okay, I can just box because I have this sort of notoriety in a way. But there's a lot of boxers like Canelo. After the fight, he tweeted and he was very disappointed because he may never even get the chance to fight a Floyd Mayweather. A lot of these good boxers have been boxing since they were kids. They won't get that chance. So I'm kind of sad that it's happened, what it's come to now. I think I would rather watch the Mike Tyson fight when he fought what's the guy's name last year? Forgot his name. They just fought this 250-year-old Mike Tyson and what's his name?
Was it Roy?
Roy, yeah, Roy Jones Jr. And I would rather watch that than watch what I just watched between Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul, because I just don't think the Paul brothers, they're publicity to me. They don't take it seriously. And we know Floyd Mayweather's name is Money Mayweather, so I get why he did it. But I think for me, it tarnished his legacy because we've seen him fight great fighters. We see him in great fights. And this was kind of like a really, so.
Hey, Jasmine, can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
So you brought something up there. It made me think about it because you said, hey, it tarnished his legacy. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how many folks you think would agree with you from the standpoint of he didn't knock the guy out. Like, here's this guy, a YouTuber. And the YouTuber went the distance with him. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm going, okay, money grab or not, you money man, you're supposed to make that money by putting in that work. Now he's not known for knockouts, but he was supposed to touch him up like he did the guy. Was it Colin, the UFC guy that he fought?
Oh, Conor McGregor.
Yeah. Conor McGregor. Mm-hmm. He touched him up, right? So I'm just curious your thoughts on the fact that he did not put him away and he didn't really touch him up. That guy went the distance with him.
Yeah, I think Logan Paul, I think that was his goal. I honestly think Logan Paul didn't think he was going to win this. Like, that's just what I think. I think that he was like, let me just stick in there and just make a show out of this. Like, it was like a whole show. I'm going to hug him. I'm going to, like, because that's what he was doing in the later rounds, is just hugging Floyd. And Floyd couldn't really, and Floyd, you can tell, is getting a lot older. He's not hitting those same spots like he used to. So I think that was an embarrassment for Floyd because this is a YouTuber. I mean, they're YouTubers. They do this stuff for fun, and you couldn't make an example out of him. So I'm really disappointed in that. So, so that was a good conversation for that, guys. So let's head into the next one. This one, I think this one's going to be good. The Kevin Durant and the Nets right now. Series tied. Jeremiah, what's going to happen? Can Kevin Durant lead this Brooklyn team past the Milwaukee Bucks?
Oh, man. When it comes to this topic right here, for Kevin Durant, this is a new stage of his career that he has to actually define odds right now. Because you see many players, as when it comes to a LeBron, a Curry, and even when it comes to certain people, maybe like a Westbrook, even to lead their teams by themselves when things happen, when it came to injury or when it came to maybe different effects that affected their team. I believe for Durant to win these next two games, he has to not only just be a scorer, but also a facilitator. He has to be doing everything in all the departments when it comes to finding your players every time that you're double teamed. I would say rebound. And just also, you already know Kevin Durant, he is a go-getter. But to me, I don't think that he's just that guy to be a number one. I think that he's a go-getter to get you buckets. But in other versatility ways of him, I could say his defense is maybe a C to me. But he has to do a lot more when it comes to his factor for them to win and actually win this series.
Leon, what do you think about that? Does he have to be more of a facilitator or a scorer?
Listen, he can facilitate all he wants. He can score all he wants. They ain't winning.
Ooh.
It's that simple. Durant cannot do it on his own. He's going to need his two compadres with him. Without them, the Nets aren't going to win. Listen, who's going to stop Giannis? Here's the next thing. Can Durant stop Giannis? Can Durant be the distributor, the facilitator, the scorer, the main guy defensively? Can he do that for 48 minutes? And we know he's going to have to, at least for the game tomorrow, he's going to have to do it. They can't do it. It's not going to happen. And this helps prove that when the players get together and put all these super teams together, you have to think, what happens if one guy goes down? Look at what happened to the Lakers. Yeah. One guy goes down, that ruins it all. You need to have depth. So as they're getting together saying, what we should go here, the three of us should go here, you better get some support guys and be ready. The Nets are not going to win another game. That's what I say. It ain't happening.
Frank, you think so? They won't win another game?
Ooh, listen. They call him the Slim Reaper for a reason, right? Like that brother puts in work. So I'm not ready to count him out like that. But I do understand where Leon's coming from. Like he's got a lot of work in front of him, right? For him to do it on his own, and you kind of saw what happened when Kyrie went down, how Milwaukee kind of changed their defense and they started blitzing him to force him to give it up, knowing that, hey, when he gives it up, it's going to be scoring's going to become difficult for them. So it's going to be hard, but I'm not going against that guy. I mean, listen, look at what he's doing, and he's doing it coming off of an Achilles injury. I mean, that brother, I'm not ready to do that. I'm going to say he's going to find a way to get another game.
Man, I think
I can't count him out, man. He's putting in too much work.
I think for one, for me, Durant is a great player. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. But I lost so much respect from him when he went to Golden State. I think I could never forgive him for that. And then you go to Brooklyn and then you add Harden and Kyrie. Like, I think, wow, like that's insane. So, all eyes are on Brooklyn right now. Now, to me, I have to go with Leon on this one. I don't think he might score 50, might score 60. He might pull a Kobe, score 81. I still do not think that they can get past Milwaukee. This is the first time we will see in 5 years, the past couple of years now, that Durant is finally by himself and he has to do what LeBron's been doing for the past couple of years. So we're going to see how Durant's going to be and who is he, this guy that people are saying. We know he can score. We know he's offensively gifted. But can he carry a team? And guess what? To me, this Milwaukee team is better right now than what Brooklyn has right now without Kyrie and James Harden. So we'll definitely see. Now, the question is, if Kevin Durant does get past Milwaukee without his guys, Leon, can he be in the GOAT discussion?
Can Durant be in the GOAT discussion?
Yeah.
No, he's not. No. He's not even in the two GOAT conversation, the second level GOAT. No way. He is not a LeBron James. He's not a Dr. J, a Michael Jordan, Oscar Robertson. No. He will be in the Hall of Fame. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yes. Greatest of all time. Not even close. And anybody who says he is in the GOAT conversation, they need to go get their head examined. There's no way he's in the GOAT conversation. I don't care. I'm not buying it.
Frank, could he be?
Listen, no, I'm not ready to go out on that limb.
Now,
That's
Frank's
a little far out
just
there.
saying that to go against me. Frank knows that man is not a GOAT.
No.
He knows
I
it.
can't go all the way out on that limb, but I can't disrespect the man. He's putting in work off of an Achilles. And I'm not ready to rule out. Like, I just don't see, if I think about the psyche of that team right now, they got put together for a reason.
Agreed.
And I have a hard time believing that although Harden has a pulled hamstring, he's not going to try to come back. I just don't see him sitting on the sideline and watching his team go out after he did all of that shenanigans to get there. I don't see it. I don't see Kyrie, if he's able to put his shoes on and go, not try. Not that they're going to be effective, but I'm not ready to say that those two guys are done and KD's going to have to do it all by himself. Although KD at this moment is preparing himself to go all by himself the rest of the way. But with that, Joe Harris is preparing to level up. Blake's preparing to level up. Yeah. So I'm not ready to say that they're not going to win a game. I don't know if they're going to get out the series, but I got a feeling they might win one more game. But no, he ain't
do you think that James Harden and Kyrie could possibly play tomorrow or tonight, right? Is it tonight or tomorrow?
Well, yeah, they play actually tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay, yeah.
Well, Kyrie, he is ruled out for tomorrow's game. So he is not going, especially with the ankle injury that he had. You're off of that for, I'd say, like a week or two. Like, if you rush that back, he is not going to be 100% at all. And I say the same thing with James Harden as well. James Harden, when he first came into this season right here, you're seeing him big belly, all out of shape and everything else, strip clubs each and every time, and those things catch up to you each time when it comes to those type of things. He was on a tear when he went to Brooklyn, got some of his weight off and everything else. But those things do come back to attack you when you don't do good condition and everything else. With him coming back, I doubt it because, to be honest with you, everything will feel good once you're sitting down, you're doing certain treatments. But once you hit that floor, it'll start to hit you like out of nowhere. And that's what I'm worried about when it comes to their team right now. And for Kevin Durant, he has to suck it up and he has to do it. Although I don't think they're going to win a game. But I think, he's going to have to do something because the team is going to follow every body language that he has. Just like when it came to this previous game, he was slouched. He wouldn't get any calls and everything else. He wasn't, there mentally. And that shows other players around him wasn't there mentally as well. And Milwaukee took advantage of that. And I just think that's going to be how it is going to be down the road.
Now, if Giannis, now I'll play devil's advocate. Giannis has question marks also. If Giannis if he cannot go back 30-30, Brooklyn may have a chance. Because I do not trust Chris Middleton like that. I do not trust him 100%. But if Giannis can still put up 30 plus, I think this will be a piece of cake. That's what I think. But if he's not going to do that, I don't like Brooklyn's chances. If Giannis is playing with that higher level, I don't. Frank, you have something to say?
No, I see I'm all out on this island by myself, right? But that's okay. Like, I hear what everybody's saying and I understand it. But I'm just thinking about, hey, Harden is not that he's going to be overly effective, but he's just not going to sit on the sidelines and take that because he knows what's going to come with it, right? If Kyrie, and I agree with Jeremiah, it's going to be hard for him to come back on the court. But if he's able to, because, the NBA's got all kinds of treatment. If he's able to get on the court, he's going to get on the court. I just don't see it. I see them getting one more game.
One more game?
One more.
Okay.
I see them.
Jasmine.
One more game. That's what Frank said, you guys.
Brooklyn wins one more game, but they lose the series. And I'm on that island by myself. I see it. I'm like Gilligan. Everybody else has left the island. I'm on there by myself. I understand. But hey, Jasmine, I have this request. If I am right, you got to have me back on the show because you know I'm gonna talk.
Gotcha. Okay. I got you.
Okay.
Definitely. Now, guys, the final topic of the night. I think this is another good one. College football. The playoff committee is thinking about doing a 12-team bracket for the playoffs. So, Frank, let's start with you. Do you think that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing? Should we have a longer playoff in college football?
I like the idea of a 12 teams being in the playoffs, but I like it from the standpoint of it's going to force those teams that we weren't thinking about to win their regular season games, because now a conference championship gives you the opportunity. Now, it's not going to change the outcome. It's not going to change the outcome. We're still talking about Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State really being in the running to win it all. But there are going to be other teams that are going to be allowed to that party. And I think that is going to help diversify college football from the standpoint of other schools are going to be able to honestly say, hey, we can get into a playoff in college, where some of them couldn't say that before. Coastal Carolina, that was a fluke year, or was it? Right? Indiana had a great season. Could they build off of that? Right? Texas A&M. So there are some schools that are around the periphery. Maybe this is a pathway for Texas to come back to prominence, right? Because they'll be able to say, we can make the playoffs. They can't say we can win it, but they might get a couple players that can help them win it down the line.
What do you think about that, Jeremiah? Do you think this will be good for the league, for college football?
To be honest, I'm kind of in and out of it, because first of all, on the good side, this allows more competitiveness, because although you already know when it comes to the O'Brien is going to be the teams of Alabama, of course, Clemson, and just like he said with everything, but I just feel like this will give a chance for other teams to kind of turn on that gear and to just be like, we can actually do this and actually make it to us, and maybe go more, because we've seen so many Cinderella stories when it comes to the college football playoffs and many things like that. And I just think that this can maybe open the doors for a lot of different things. But they also talk about having bye weeks for more bye weeks for when it comes to the before college football and everything else. But I think it's actually such a great idea so far, because I think allow more competitiveness actually going down the road.
Leon, do you think it will make it more competitive?
Here's what I think. I think it's going to add the possibility of more competitiveness. But the devil is in the details of how the teams get selected. So let me give you a couple examples. We can say that when we go to a 12-team playoff, that if we look at last year, a team like Coastal Carolina gets in. A team like Indiana gets in. But there will always be a team from a Big Five conference, from a major conference, that says, even though we lost 3 games, even though we lost 4 games, look who we play against every Saturday. Look who we play against every week. We lost to Alabama by 3. We lost to these guys by 2. We came closer to beating 4 of the top 10 teams than anybody else. So although we lost 3 games or 4 games, we deserve to be in. Here's the other thing when you start talking about competitiveness. With everything opened up and home field advantage being back, one of the articles I read indicated that the teams that receive the bye, so the top 4 teams, would not play a home game. So there would be the bottom 8 schools playing against each other, and everything else is going to be played at neutral sites. So those top 4 teams, while they get a week off in the playoff, they don't get a home game, where some of those other teams do get another home game. So it counts towards money and momentum. I think the devil of this is still in the details for those reasons right there. Do I like the idea of expanding and theoretically giving a Coastal Carolina, or a few years ago a UCF, other teams, Indiana, a chance of getting in? I like it theoretically, The devil's going to be in the details. And we start talking late December and January. Watch all the arguments of we should have been in, we shouldn't have been in. So kind of on both sides of that one.
I agree with that, Leon, because that's my sentiment on it too, is, I just think that now, to me, I think I would rather have seen the 8 teams, maybe 8, and then see how that went, and then maybe expand it to 12, maybe. I don't think it should be like, let's automatically jump to 12. But to me, like 4 years, you get tired of seeing the same team sometimes, even though Alabama's a historically great college football team, Clemson, Ohio State, and then whoever that 4th team could be. But it gets to a point where the other schools, I think it also has a lot to do with strength of schedule. Alabama, to me, their strength of schedule can be it's like cake in a way. They're playing like the first game of the week, Citadel, like a team like that, teams that I've never heard of that school. And they win by like 50-0 at halftime. And then they're building and building and building. And then they're able to prepare for those other schools like a Clemson, like a Ohio State and stuff like that. So to me, I would rather them did an 8, suggest an 8, than jump right into 12. But what do you think about that, Frank?
Well, I understand where you're coming from. I like, and I was actually surprised to see it go to 12, but I like the idea of 12, and I like the formatting of the 8 playing. And I like to think what's really going to be interesting, and I don't think it's going to happen year 1, but there's going to be a team that's going to play above their weight in that playoffs, and it's going to help that coach and that program, right? And it's going to be whether or not that coach will end up staying and building on that, or then jumping to one of those schools. Because to me, that's really what it's about, right? You're giving exposure to some schools and some programs that historically have not been a college football playoff program, but now they will be, right? That coach will be running that kind of program. Can he elevate it? Can he do what Dabo has done with Clemson? Clemson was always around the edge, and now they're a national, prominent, national title contending team year in and year out, right? And to me, opening up the field is going to allow more of that to happen, because you're going to go get players that maybe Alabama turned down, or maybe Clemson turned down, and they can play, right? And then there's going to be a scheme that's going to somebody's going to be able to knock Clemson in the mouth, or knock Alabama in the mouth. And folks are going to go, oh, wow, who's that? Who's that program? It's going to be great. Like VCU did. They went from the first 4 to the final 4. Right. And everybody was like, Shaka Smart. Great. So it'll happen, but it won't happen year 1.
I think what's exciting, what I really want to see, I want to get your guys' ideas on this. So do you think this could help maybe HBCUs? I love seeing what Deion's doing down there at what's the school that he's coaching at? Jackson State? Yeah. So I really like what he's doing down there, and that could potentially get more athletes there from Mississippi State and Ole Miss. So Leon, do you think that if they do this 12 bracket playoff, do you think this could give a chance for HBCU schools to show their skills and compete at the high level?
Now, yes, but here's what's going to happen. They're going to say the HBCUs did not play a strong enough schedule.
Yeah.
And they're going to put them in whatever that used to be called the Division II playoffs, or whatever that second tier of Division I is. They may put some of those teams in that, but they're going to holler they didn't play a strong enough schedule. So he could have transfers from Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Alabama, could abuse them in scrimmages, could win one of their early, what used to be a money game, a guaranteed game, could win that and have just a great season. But they're going to say, strength of schedule, you don't get in. Sorry, I'd love to see the HBCU in there. I'd love to see it. But that's what I think this is gonna come down to. Then the other thing, the money people are going to start crying about alumni base, alumni support. Jackson State doesn't travel. This school doesn't travel well. The fans don't go, and they'll come up with that stuff. And we're going to have the same things. I hope it doesn't come to that, because All right, that's my take on it.
Yeah, Frank, what do you have to add to that?
Listen, I like where Leon's going. I believe it, but I think there's an answer for it too, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if they wanted to really honor that, move the college playoffs back and let that championship team, James Madison, North Dakota State, HBCU, Jackson State, let them compete for that number 12 spot, right? So now they're fighting their way in, and I promise you, all of those, whatever school it is, right, will show up at the number 12 or 11 seed, and they can talk about strength of schedule. Okay, well, they won their division. They won everybody they played. They're a national champion at that level, and now they're going up against the big boys, right? That'll help them with recruiting. It'll help them with travel because those folks will show. I think there's an opportunity there, but it would have to be a concerted effort to reorganize the entire landscape in order to make that happen.
I agree with that. Jeremiah, what do you think on that?
I actually do agree when it comes to Frank, when it comes to that, because first of all, this is just an important way first of all for HBCUs to get so many on the map as it is, and I'm so glad for Deion Sanders to actually go and actually be a coach, and for more of them to actually start this wave as you was talking about before, and I feel like they should actually do that because you already know how the committee is. They are so calculate, and to be honest, you don't really know kind of what they're thinking so many times, but it's all about alumni and it's all about money to them. It rules everything around them, so they want to see what they want to see when it comes to those things. And I can say it's about a lot of teams proving them wrong, but at the same time, the committee has is ways, and also the college football, of kind of having it to make it seem like it's for everybody, but it's not really for everybody, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. To me, I do want to see a lot more HBCUs get more recognition. I know I've seen a lot of athletes. I went to high school with some guys who, went HBCU, and you don't really hear anything about them after that. And they were really good. And I think even when it comes to the draft, like there's a drought in the draft for drafting HBCU players. And that I believe that has to change when it comes to that. So hopefully we'll see how this goes. We'll see if, this 12 with it can give more exposure when it comes to that. But this was a great conversation tonight, guys. I really enjoyed this conversation. I want to thank Leon, Jeremiah, and Frank for being here tonight with me, giving you guys ideas and thoughts on these topics that we discussed. I want to thank Dr. J for the production. I want to thank all of that. And most importantly, I want to thank the audience for tuning in, for just, supporting, and definitely see you guys next week here on Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk for more hot topics.